in the last 40-something years, PMS has always been subsidized. And subsidy is creating arbitrage. That means there's a difference between price in one location lower than what it should be with another location. The evacuation from the depot averaged 51 in recent times. And when Mr. President announced the removal of subsidy in June, what it did is calibrated price. It came to market. There's no longer any value in anyone taking the product across the border. If you do, you're not going to make those profits that you do. I'll give you an example. If the delta is significant, like if you are selling twice the price across in a 6,000 liter truck, you can actually gain up to 70 million naira from just one truck. So how are you going to stop someone who can just with 2 trips across the border will make 17 times 2, which is the price of the truck itself? So if you don't arrest it, then it's over. He has made his money. Versus when you take a truck legally, you take it to maybe 8 million naira, for instance, to Maiduguri, the legitimate value you have is less than 500,000 naira. So why would I see 70 million naira and then take all the trouble, go to Maiduguri, keep it in the fuel station for 1 month, and just make 300,000 to 400,000 naira? The challenge you have in all these countries, you have taxation on PMS. We don't have tax here. So in many of these countries, actually government revenue is dependent on the taxes that is coming on PMS. So you will see that until you balance for that, you recover your market costs and add taxation on it, there is no way you will ever get to a situation where there is some kind of market parity between us and our neighbors. But you will not be losing money as long as you are not in a subsidy regime. You won't lose money. The key challenge of security and what really means, when we started this process of intervention in 2022, we deactivated 8,384 illegal refineries. They are not refineries, really, boiling pots, We don't know what name to call them, but the people call it a refinery. So maybe we borrow their own words. We deactivated 8,000. I'll show you what this means. I'm sure you are seeing it in the media and all this thing. Then you have illegal connections to the pipelines. 6,610 illegal connections to the pipeline. We have removed about 5,913. That means still you have over 1,000 that has not been removed. And they are there. And they connect every day as we remove. Yes, we have reduced the scale. Maybe they used to do 10, maybe they are only doing 1. That's why we are seeing the progress that we're seeing. In localities that we know all these locations. If you just take a helicopter flight, you'll see this happening in real time. And then just imagine you are having 4,300 wooden boats in this environment. Pits, 20,941 recorded pits, dotted all over our production environment. And what does this mean? Now, the issue of the communities now. When you have this, you're not going to have clean groundwater. Even when you drill shallow boreholes, you're going to find oil in the water. And of course, the degradation of the environment, the rivers, and everything that you can imagine has actually decimated livelihood of these communities. For the benefit of just very few people, maybe this 20,000, I'm sure, I don't know if you know, is actually now groups on it. They call it JV now. 10 people own one, 30 people own that. They call it joint venture now. For doing nothing, you take $80 crude and sell it for 40 for free. It's nothing. At a point, you may not be aware that imports of AGO in the country was almost nil, and there's no scarcity of AGO in the country. Yes, they're all refined, actually boiling, and at a point, everywhere you go is the same AGO that is coming from these creeks that we are using all over the country. So this is how far we have gone, and what is important is when you look at the chart in the middle, you'll see the decline. Our own projection now, and by August, that's the renewed intervention by the government security agencies are now brought out. The number of reported illegal connections and the refining is going to, we think if we maintain this to the end of the year, we'll be stable. But I'm also aware that there are a number of new steps that government is taking today that will probably decimate this, not entirely, but surely it will be better than where we are today. Is there a drive towards that? The answer is yes. Today, Mr. President has taken several bold steps towards making sure that the security interventions are clearly decimated. Two fronts, and I don't want to speak too much about it because I don't want to discuss the security, what the actual interventions are, but the reality is that certain critical steps have been taken by government, and that's why we're seeing these results coming on. So that at the end, what does it matter is for you to make sure that when you produce it, it gets to the terminal, and then you evacuate it. And that intervention holds only one part of it. That's the fiscal part of it. The other part of it is the community part of it. As you all know, there are several attempts at ensuring inclusivity in our environment. The only way the communities can come into control of the interventions that can happen in their community is to make the resources available to them. And this will work. Yes, because is it of the scale that will change the entire environment? No, the answer is no. Probably this will complement in a much more practical way to bring alleviate suffering. And Mr. President, what he's doing now is to make sure that that intervention works. There's the inclusion both of the political class and also the economic class within the Niger Delta region, so that they are included in the scheme of things, that they have a different persuasion to ensure that sustaining production, increasing production, actually serves their interest more than looking at the overall big, let's share this money every month mentality that we have in the country. And I think this is why we are seeing this gradual recovery that we are seeing. Today, we have a line of sight around what goes wrong, where it is getting wrong, when activities can actually be brought in to contain them. So it's paying off. And we believe that we can sustain this so that we can have that pathway to the 2 million barrels per day by the end of the year. And thereafter, we'll now see what next can we do. Gas, as you may all know, is a transition fuel, is where the new money will come. Chemicals largely come from gas, even though people are cracking crude to chemicals, but we know that chemical market will continue to be there. Gas will be made from chemical products. As we're going forward, you're seeing a lot of cars are now, the bodies are not metal anymore. So we know that this will grow. That's why we're very, very aggressive in ensuring that we supply gas into the market so that the power sector can continue to have a source of cheap feedstock, and also to have industries come up on the back of this. In today's term, we're actually supplying more than the market can take today into the market. Only NNPC can do this because nobody wants to deal with the domestic market for the obvious reason. Infrastructure is expensive, customers are difficult, so nobody is going to put their money. Of course, upstream people will not put money to produce the gas when they are not sure that the midstream operator can pay them back. This is a challenge that we are dealing with, but despite this today, our supplies into the domestic market is robust. We're planning for growth, and growth means that more midstream infrastructure, pipelines, and also processing plants that we have to put in place.
Also in that media chat, Mr. Kyari had promised that there are some infrastructure to pass on gas and make it even more available and affordable. You heard him there saying that gas is now available, but of course the issue of affordable comes next. But he says he would refuse to give timelines because you know that the NNPC has been giving some timelines, which has come back to haunt them. For instance, there was the promise of Port Harcourt refinery, which was promised for September. And of course, I was privileged to be a part of that conversation. And that was one of the conversation coming up. And he did say, wow, they had that timeline and they were working towards it. Some unexpected mechanical issues cropped up, and he has promised not to give timeline anymore, not for the refineries, not for the gas infrastructure, which is ongoing. We saw some pictures right there at that event, you know. So he shared all of that, but it says he's being careful with giving timelines now, but promised that the refineries will work and the gas will also be in abundance in supply and affordable over time, you know, to the Nigerian public. So that was Mr. Mele Kyari, the Chief CEO, Group CEO, beg your pardon, of NNPCL right there. So, and that's where we'll hand over back to the Sunrise Daily Studio. I'll be back at 1 p.m. for Business Incorporated. Laddie's all the way in East Africa. We'll give you the gist at 1 p.m. You want to find out what Laddie Williams is doing, why he's not in the studio, while you have to work with me alone. That'll be Business Incorporated, 1 p.m. 55 minutes of business is what we'll be doing then. I'm Ini John Mekwa. We head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio.